So we're gonna truck through this together because I was told just several hours ago that I was presenting. It was actually another individual, Hayden Wood, who's actually pretty sick right now. So I just talked to him; he's feeling better, but he was scheduled to present today. So this is all new to me. So we're gonna walk through this together. Stop me at any time. This is not going to be so much of a presentation, more collaborative. What they wanted to talk about, and first let me start off with myself and Darktrace before I talk about that. My name is Andrew Scobercia. I'm a senior cybersecurity consultant with Darktrace. I'm based out in Houston, working remote, manage a team of great individuals. Here in Houston, my focus mainly is the small and medium-sized businesses that are lacking cybersecurity tools, where they're having lean IT teams that are wearing many hats, and really trying to utilize the power of our AI technology to really help them buy back time and be proactive when things are going off. So that's a little bit about myself and what I'm doing. And I guess what Darktrace wants me to talk about is stopping attacks, not your business. So how we utilize our self-learning AI alongside our autonomous response. Now, before I get into all this, these are extremely big buzzwords nowadays in the cybersecurity realm and InfoSec, AI and autonomous response. So let me preface this by saying Darktrace was kind of on the founding front of AI and autonomous response. Based out of Cambridge, we actually were started by a group of mathematicians from Cambridge University, along with intelligence officers at MI5 or 6, whichever James Bond was in. Those are the ones that came up with Darktrace. Last April, we went public on the London Stock Exchange, and since then, we've been growing like a weed. We've gotten, I believe, we're at 80 plus patents. We're at 7,000 employees, so even this slide is outdated. But and we've just been growing and growing, and our reach has expanded, which has really helped us out, not only for our partners, our clients, but also our AI learning on the job on different industries, platforms, and understanding how to stop them. And Time Magazine's inaugural influential companies, the first time they came up with it, we were actually one of them. So cheers to us there. So before I kind of begin a little bit, I want to talk about kind of the themes of what we've seen in 2022 from our side. So we've seen, evolution of ransomware attacks. I mean, I jumped in a little bit on the last presentation. He was discussing cyber insurance. I'm sure that's a big thing nowadays. A lot of our clients that I've seen, on average, I would say their premiums have doubled in 1 year. And that's just on cyber insurance. And that's due to the fact that ransomware has the payouts for ransomware attacks have just increased exponentially. And another factor is the supply chain attacks that we've been seeing. Just in 2021, actors were able to embed malicious, codes into high-profile attacks. We saw the SolarWinds, we saw GitLab, just to name a few. Darktrace last year actually interrupted 150,000 of these supply chain attacks. And this is just things that companies are using. They're using third-party software, supply chain solution software. And if these are exploited, then if any company or anything that is using these as well can be exploited. So that's something that we've seen growing in 2022. Insider threat, which every person I talk to says, we've got the best people working here until they leave. And then do they still have credentials? Do they still have access? Those are things that we've seen. We've called it the Great Resignation. People are just going off and starting a podcast now, apparently, which I've contemplated doing. But those kind of slip-ups are, a big thing, a big theme that we've seen in 2022. The geopolitical space, the cyberspace is now a battleground in these digital wars that we're seeing. We're seeing, Russia, China, Ukraine, things that are going on, these espionage compromised attacks, critical infrastructure is being a hot button issue as well. So these are just themes that we've seen exploited in 2022. Now, I mean, you can see that 22% of IT professionals lack confidence in their posture. and 78% feel they lack visibility in their cloud. So why are organizations not confident? What's holding us back? Why do we continue to see these targeted, indiscriminate attacks? Well, if you can see here, we got this rear view mirror look. So we're looking at the tool set is in the rear view. And what I mean by that, this traditional approach to security fails to address highly dynamic nature of the threat landscape that we've seen lately. And these attackers are very innovative. And if we have time, I can tell you some stories on that. I won't tell you the names of the clients, but I can tell you what's going on. But this approach is what we call Darktrace, the rear view mirror approach. So you're using what we've seen in the past, these historical attack data that we have, but what we want to do is we want to look at these zero-day attacks, what's not been seen, what we don't have data on, what we can we predict the future attacks. And we've noticed that we can't just rely on rules and signature-based models alone. There needs to be some sort of AI solution where we can do that. And these tools need to be up to speed. They can't just be pre-programmed policies. We need to adapt with the environment that we're in currently. So typically, tools like email, endpoint, whatever your organization is using, doesn't have visibility across the entire landscape, the entire system that you have. We lack context, so to speak. So this means that the autonomous response, which they want me to speak on, is an attempt to make more precision, more visibility on these, what we call legacy approach to cybersecurity. So again, responses, are we too timid or too aggressive? So, yes, sir.
I know this is new, but what do you mean by too timid or too aggressive response?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's okay.
No, I'm actually I want to answer that, and I usually just take my time before, and I'm okay with silence if you're okay with silence. But what I mean by heavy-handed is, are we too extreme with our reactions? If we just quarantine, if one device or user is affected, do we shut down that whole department? My focus is on the small and medium-sized business. So if I shut down, if an accountant gets struck and compromised, do I have to shut down the whole finance department? For a small and medium-sized business, that could be heavy-handed. So that could really disrupt a business's day-to-day. Does that kind of make sense? Or a little too timid, we don't do enough, and they're running wild. So just to continue, and that's a great question, please stop me at any time. So just to continue, this is a little just visual aid, if you will. At the heart of Darktrace is our self-learning AI. That's basically what you need to know. Our detection portion is what we call the enterprise immune system approach. The response portion is what I'm going to talk about more, is the autonomous response, which we call Antigena, and then we have the full visibility of investigation portion. So we have all of these to give you that full visibility upon all your entire digital estate that's going on. So this is not only a security tool, this is a different approach that we feel is needed within your security stack. So if you come up to our booth, if you come up to Ricky or myself at Darktrace, we will not tell you, hey, take this out, take out CrowdStrike, take this out. Us as security professionals will say, that's great that you have something. Can we make it better? Can we emphasize what you have and build upon it and give you more visibility, more to lift up that technology, to give you more capability what you already have? That's how we kind of work alongside you. So the bulk of this presentation is going to be about autonomous response, another big buzzword along with AI. So using the technology and evolving from a sense of normal can understand what a proportionate response looks like. So again, instead of rules, signatures, subtle decisions, we take a more enabled strategic approach. Not a tool, not a product, but an approach. We enable our self-learning AI. So first off, you're going to leverage the AI's understanding of normal, what is based on your organization, the individuals within your organizations. What do they do on a day-to-day basis? The collaborative nature of them, what their cadences are, who they interact with, things like that that need to be understood within your organization, because once we implement it, we need to understand how do we stop it. So, and most importantly, throughout this process and approach that we take, we don't want to disrupt business. So we're not reliant on someone else's playbook, because people are leaving left and right. We're getting people poaching Darktrace people all the time. But we can't be reliant on this. It needs to be undisruptive. So it's very valued and nuanced, and I can definitely talk about some examples on that as well. But any questions so far before I keep going into autonomous response? Great. So just to kind of move forward, autonomous response is delivered through what we call Antigena, bringing autonomous response to the enterprise, defending all parts of your digital estate. So without interruption. So as you can see here, we're trying to close that gap and what we call it Darktrace, the cyber AI loop. So we want to implement our self-learning AI with the ability to autonomous respond within the email solutions, within your environment and your network topology, your cloud base, your SaaS endpoint, any operational technologies we've been seeing. We've actually implemented our AI solution in the industrial space because we've seen a lot of machineries, a lot of organizations in manufacturing automating their industries. And anything hooked up, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, anything logged on is vulnerable. An example, and you can Google this because I'm not allowed to say the casino, but the casino in Vegas was actually hacked through their automatic feeders in their fish tank because it was hooked up online. An attacker, is brilliant enough as he was, actually went into a fish tank, saw a path, and was actually very close to getting high roller bank account numbers to be able to go in through there. So things we don't even think about. That's when we implement the AI to really understand how many patterns of life do you guys have? How many users do you have? So a lot of the time when we deploy, when we show them how many devices they really have, they're very surprised. It's usually 3 times more at times. Very interesting. So just another example, a brief mention about the integrations of our autonomous response that I mentioned, all those aspects. All these, products, tools, partners of ours, we have direct integrations with. Full Microsoft shop, full Google shop. Having to have these direct integrations is super efficient and easy. If you, we can go across the entire digital estate in different ways. You can see some of the big heavy hitters, and I'm sure there's at least 3 or 4 that each and every one of you guys use. So let me go and talk about just autonomous response in multiple stages. So how we work and the power of it. So as you can see here, this is an employee clicking on a link containing unknown malware. Everyone's, greatest fear, phishing attacks in the email. You can train all day for it. You can have a know before. There's still going to be someone clicking on things. So data exfiltration through an insider. So we see in the first example, the employee clicks a malicious link with novel malware, bypasses EDR and antivirus tools. Antigena recognizes this as a highly unusual. So Darktrace confidently finds anomalous activity and intervenes. Now, if the attack continues, command and control communication begins. Attacker is using a new infrastructure. It recognizes it, again, as anomalous and never connected with this endpoint that way. Antigena interrupts the command and control traffic within seconds. Now, if the attack persists, he uploads sensitive documents to a OneDrive, commonly used by the employee, and it's undetected. Unusual amount of data is being uploaded at a different time of the day. Darktrace takes targeted action to stop the data upload. So our cyber AI analyst investigates hundreds of threads in the background at the same time across all activity and coverage areas. So let's talk about just a case study. How many? Yes, sir. Do you have a question? It's a great question. There's a very, this question was for everyone in the back or watching online is, are we positioned as a SOAR or a SIM? Are we logging everything? And that's something we hear a lot. And that's a great question. We do very similar things as SOARs and SIMs. We have direct integrations with SOARs and SIMs, such as Splunk. But we do that and more. Now, what I mean by that is we can, if that's what you need, we can do that, but that is not utilizing the full capability of the AI solution that we have, the approach that we have. So we can definitely do that, but it's so much more than that. But that's a great question. Now, to kind of go off on that, this is just a case study on Log4j, something that everyone was fearful around the holidays. Was it last year? Was it December of 2021? Yeah, it was last year. So as we know, it's an interfacing server was breached via Log4j, rare internal IP was used, and malware deliverable through using HTTP. So Antigeno has actually blocked connections to and from the malicious IP addresses for 2 hours. So this, affected various industries, the anomalous activity we were able to take in, and then also understanding it and bringing it to a halt through our Antigeno action. If you can see this kind of clearly, this is an example of a direct customer. We took out the proprietary information, but this was us seeing it directly on December 12th. Now, this was us catching it, understanding the organization that we were deployed upon, understanding their individuals and their day-to-day, and then we were able to catch this log4j and block it for 2 hours. Now, this was just a way that it's configurable. Other customers and clients of ours actually blocked this port completely, locked them out. We can actually enforce our patterns of life. So if you are a small, medium-sized business, such as where you don't have that many employees, say 150 employees, you have 3 IT professionals, you want to enforce their pattern of life so you can keep business operational throughout the day. So a sysadmin is compromised, will enforce his pattern of life, the sysadmin can continue doing his day-to-day activity, the business can continue. So, okay, this is an interactive one. Wonderful. So we don't expect security leaders, again, I was told about doing this a couple hours ago. We don't expect security leaders to blindly hand over security responsibilities to autonomous response. That would be ludicrous. I'm not going to tell you, hey, here's Darktrace, use it, take a vacation. No, we're going to take the crawl, walk, run mentality and approach to this. The AI can't be a black box. It needs to be transparent, build trust, confidence with you and your security team. So we focus on that and everything else. So we've designed it in a way with this in mind. Autonomous response is highly configurable when you sit down and go through the config with the customer or prospect through parts of their digital estate. And with cases that are covered, we can actually turn it and have it on different modes. So we can have it on passive mode. This is just the AI understanding your environment and telling you what's going on. We can have it on human confirmation mode, where you can be notified through our app or through the UI, or you can have the AI turned on and fully autonomous. It really is up to you. I've had clients that only turn on full autonomous mode after work, on vacation, on weekends. I had an individual call it his pina colada mode because when he turned it on, he was on the beach. So it really is dependent on how involved you want to be. And we can definitely work with that on you, with you. And I will tell you, the people that are hesitant about full autonomous mode will come back to me and say, I wish I would have turned it on sooner. And that's just direct examples. So this doesn't mean there needs to be any constant tuning after initial setup. It's lightweight and it keeps running. Outputs can be easily consumed and actioned through what I mentioned, through human confirmation mode with our mobile app. So this is not at all or nothing. This is not on an all or nothing approach. We just want to ensure that business operations are continuous, disrupt attackers at the earliest moment possible. And I just want to emphasize that, I will get to your question, I want to emphasize that this is not required that we move from passive to full autonomous. We don't have to do that. Rather, we can customize it to your liking. Yes, sir.
When designing your solution for, say, an average company on the web,
Sure.
are you taking a look at maybe a week or 2 weeks or a month to design the program for that particular client?
That's a great question. So the question was, if people didn't hear it, is how long does it take for us to design or alter or be configured to an average size company? So what I need to mention and kind of reiterate, and if I didn't, is Darktrace is industry and size agnostic. So we have customers from in the tens of thousands of enterprise like Samsung's to a 5-person hedge fund in New York. 5 total people, not 5 IT members. So for us to configure, we actually, let's say we set up something. So at Darktrace, we believe in doing a 30-day proof of value. Now that's 30 days where we're set up within your environment. We can set it up either on premises, on-prem, we can have an appliance shipped and attach it right to the core switch. Or if you'd like it virtually spun up in the cloud, do a Hyper-V virtual machine hookup, we can do that as well. We allow the AI to sit for 7 to 10 days. Let it learn the organization it's in, what security tools it has. We come back, have a workshop together with our global analyst team, which we have 3 SOCs located in the world: Singapore, London, San Francisco. So every 8 hours of the day, you're covered. We come together, the analysts, cyber technologists, engineers, and myself will come together and show you the platform, show you how to maneuver, a little basic training, if you will, give you the keys to the castle, and then we'll show you an incident report that we had. And then from then on, you get to play around with it. So it is already configured within about 7 to 10 days in that organization, no matter what industry they're in, how many employees, devices, what security tools they have. It really is very configurable in that sense, especially for an average size company. Yes, sir.
Along the lines of building the trust, would we, or is it public information available as far as your amount of false positives, false negatives, that kind of data behind that?
Sure. So the question's more tailored and focused on false positives. I won't come up here and lie to you that say we don't have false positives. When we implement in that 7 to 10 days, we have about, I would say, about 8 to 10% of actions, and this is just an example, let's say in the email solution, in your email environment. When we'd set up the AI, we'd come back and the AI would report and make actions on about 8 to 10% of total emails. Now that's a bit high. That's because it's only been up and running for about a week to 10 days. I would say in about 3 weeks or so, that is about 2 to 3%, and that's normal. That's the AI finally maturing itself, understanding your organization, especially during that trial, working with our team, understanding and having the app and in your hands saying, hey, this is good to go. The AI understands that and it will configure it that way. So I won't come up here and lie to you. I won't lie ever, but I won't lie to you and say there's not false positives, because there will be. And any tool that says we can set it and forget it, don't listen to them either. Now, I would say we're pretty dang close to it, but you have to account for false positives. That's why we allow for a full 30-day trial to really get to that maturity point for you to understand it. I hope that was a good answer for you. Yes, sir. Yeah, so the question is more on compliance. So we do have a lot of compliances. We're SOC 2 compliant, that sort of thing. Um, Depending on the industry you're in, I know financial industries, you have different compliances that you have to have. You know, anytime there's credit card payments. So we do have a compliance division as well, where we are working alongside. There's a compliance with yourself. Hmm. Yeah, but we work with you on that. So you do have the whole red carpet treatment, if you will, with our whole team around it. I do want to mention, I jumped in last minute at the last individual. I didn't know what he was talking about, but he mentioned cyber insurance, and I had mentioned this earlier about how that most of my clients, it's doubled. Uh, Marsh, the global cyber insurer, Marsh, along with 5 others, I think it's the top 5 globally. Cyber insurers actually named their top 15 products where they have the most trust in, where cyber insurance premiums will actually lower based on if you have and utilize these tools. Darktrace's enterprise immune system on the network side of things and Antigena for email were both named on that group of 15. And our email solution was actually the only email solution named on that. So if that gives you any credibility there for the last 2 years. So the gentleman before had mentioned cyber insurance and not talking too much because they'll ask follow-up questions and that sort of thing. If you have tools like Darktrace in place, they have a lot of credibility in this tool where they won't ask you as many questions like that, and your premiums may go down. Now, I won't say immediately, but it needs to be implemented Usually you pay your premiums, beginning of the year, and then you implement this, and then they won't bring your premiums down to the next year because you already paid them. But that's the insurance companies. I'm not talking about insurance right now. But anything else, anything about AI, about Darktrace, about autonomous response that I can answer, I'd be happy to. Um, if not, I'm not going to take the full hour. That was about 26 minutes. So, yes, sir.
Like his question, the false positive. How does AI correct those?
Yeah,
What's going on, change your algorithm? You got your stuff.
sure. The AI is configured in a way, and I'm not going to talk algorithms because I'll butcher it, but the AI is constantly learning in your environment. It's not just a tool that you put in and it's like, all right, we got AI now. When you're evolving as an organization, when you're adding customers, when you're adding security tools, the AI adjusts. So the AI adjusts with you. And yes, does it do it all by itself all the time? No. You're going to have to work with your technical team sometimes as well to configure it in a way. So it's a little bit of both human and machine kind of task to do that. But I'm not a data scientist, machine learning expert there. Zero-day attacks, I mean, that's our bread and butter. I mean, when you use, we're not on the rules and signature-based legacy approach. We're understanding you and your organization and individuals. So because we're not contingent on, historical attack data, we're able to understand, okay, are these anomalies? Because these anomalies turn into zero-day attacks turn into threats and ransomware and other things like that. So zero-day attacks are our bread and butter. I mean, the Log4j example, I believe we caught it on December 10th, and it was announced, the vulnerability was announced on December 12th, to give you any context. And again, with our 7,000 plus customers, we do incorporate a lot of data over a lot of organizations and industries where our SOCs know what's going on. So if you're not attacked, but people in your industry are, you'll have that expertise around you. Cool. Any other questions? I'd love to answer. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that's an interesting question. So the question, if you guys didn't hear it, is about how we work with Microsoft 365 and the email solution, and how we are layered on top. I would say we're not layered in the email solution. We are like an extra layer of protection overall in what you currently have in your security stack. But for the email environment, we actually sit at the end of everything. So in your email solution, if you're using Microsoft 365, you got Defender, you've got some sort of gateway, we're actually the last line of defense. So anything that Darktrace would catch in the email environment has bypassed everything that you have in place. So I've told people, just use Darktrace for 30 days as an audit of your email environment, because email is the number one problem right now, especially in the mid-market. You got to protect your email. So we actually sit on the end of everything. So we kind of enhance your protection. That direct integration with Microsoft, you know what? I can actually pull up something on here. Actually, I don't have my Wi-Fi on. But needless to say, anything we would catch, it was because it went through everything on the Microsoft, on the Defender if you have it, and the gateway. So we sit on the end of it. And that's because we're ingesting inbound, outbound, lateral emails. But we're not only just understanding what's behind the email, but what's behind the sender of the email. Because we've seen a lot of correspondence that's been known between individuals. We've actually caught, especially during merger and acquisition seasons, there's going to be collaborative of different organizations sending multiple sensitive information to individuals. And what we've seen is, these known correspondents are getting through. what you already have in place because they've already been known correspondents. But understanding that, let's say an individual in Texas is going through a merger and acquisition with the CFO and they're corresponding 30 times a day and through email. Well, if one of them gets compromised, which we actually did catch, this is an actual example. The individual's in Texas and then he got compromised. There was an email sent by his email with an attachment from Brazil. So us understanding not only the email, but the person behind the email is how we kind of detect and utilize self-learning AI in the inbox. And funny story, when we went public last April on the London Stock Exchange, Microsoft came to us to help on the email front because they wanted this sort of AI solution in their inbox. So direct integration with Microsoft, and I've seen it done in 5 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. But 5 to 10 minute integration with Microsoft. And I would say if you're hesitant about AI or hesitant about your email environment, check out Darktrace for 30 days. Use it as an audit within your systems, use it as an audit within your email environment, and just see if your gateways are working. I would never tell you to take out a Barracuda or a Mimecast or whatever you got in place, but make sure they're working properly. So I don't know if that answered your question enough, if I need to go into more context. Is that okay? We're no, ma'am. No, we're not. There's no tiers. There's no. I mean, some companies, some security vendors and tools will have different, tiers of their solution. No, we are industry size tier agnostic. You're going to get the same, you know, solution base in your environment as the big dogs out there, as the federal government gets from Darktrace. You get the same self-learning AI because that power and capability is in your environment. It's based on what you have currently, and we're trying to protect you. So it's going to be tailored different for every organization. So definitely not tiered. Yes, sir.
Yes, kind of piggybacking on William's question, how does that reporting happen? So if you catch something like with the email and you say, okay, it got through all the Microsoft stuff, we caught it. How does that reporting happen? And then what does that report look like? Do we just get told, okay, we stopped something? Or do you eventually say, hey, you have this port open, you
Mm-hmm.
got it like 50 times,
Mm-hmm.
you really need to go and make this configuration?
Sure. So when you go into the platform, you can generate reports based on your liking. That's daily, weekly, monthly. Really depends on how much information you want. We have those reports will generate not only what the gateway misses, but supply chain attacks, any C-suite impersonations, spear phishing, whaling, any ransomware. The AI will generate reports, but also it takes strategic action. So we can not only hold an email. I'm really glad we're talking about email. Honestly, I'd rather talk about email. I can hold it. We can lock a link, double lock a link, move it to junk. I mean, strip the attachment. There are several options that AI can take. Now, as far as this is going on for 50 times, then we need to work with the technician and the technical team because the AI should have understood 49 times ago, 48 maybe, that this is still occurring. So on the email front, yeah, the reporting, it can be generated to your liking. And if you want it more tailored towards your gateway, say you got a Barracuda or something, I want to know how many times is Darktrace catching something through the gateway? How many times? Because if the gateway is missing 76% of these emails, then why are you paying for a gateway? So really use it to audit your tools, audit your system, and just check and see, like, do we need this? You know, use your money, budget it wisely to the tools that actually work and can generate safety within your environment. Yes, sir. Yeah. 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 So when we hook up the question is, what do we do? How do we filter these emails? We actually set up an API journaling rule through your email solution. Say if it's Microsoft, that's very easy, working with whoever the global admin is on that front. But how do we, how do we do that? That's a little bit above my technical understanding. Again, if you ask about algorithms or anything, I'll put you in touch with someone. Y'all can, but that's a little above my, yes sir, pay grade. Yeah, yeah. Sure. When an individual leaves, what do I think personally? You should have hired a better individual. That's a great question. That's a theme we've seen just because people are leaving and organizations are just slipping up. People are wearing a lot of hats and they forget, hey, we didn't shut off Joe's account. He could still log in. As far as insider threat, besides them leaving and you deleting their stuff, we've seen examples of just revenge, spiteful individuals. I'll tell you a quick story. A client of mine actually was a sysadmin, a senior sysadmin for an organization, and was super upset with this company, didn't get promoted or didn't get a bonus or something. They had Darktrace implemented, and they had the autonomous response implemented throughout the whole organization through their entire digital estate. This individual, a sysadmin, know his way around the environment, went into finance file servers and started extracting, expense reports, budgets, some passwords, legal documents. The AI stepped in quite quickly in a matter of few minutes and understood this is anomalous for sysadmin, what he's extracting, and then blocked him for an hour. Now, him being a sysadmin went through the backup server, and then he was immediately enforced his pattern of life. So this sysadmin can only do a sysadmin job the second time around. Now he went into the SaaS application through Microsoft integration, and he tried to extract more things, and he was locked out completely. Those are just examples of autonomous response being in different aspects of your digital environment, stepping up and talking amongst each others. Because this sysadmin was clearly doing some malicious things, and we were able to stop it. That's an insider threat that I know personally that I've seen. But yes, you should just delete his stuff immediately. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and the best part about that is that you reminded me of something is if you know the individual is going to be let go or things of that nature, if you know ahead of time, you can put more of a focus of the AI upon that individual. So you can block them off some more certain things. That's where the configurability comes in. You can have the autonomous response Antigena more focused on him, so you lock him out completely instead of just blocking him for an hour. So you can kind of tailor it if things like that are coming, and kind of put a spotlight. You can tell the AI to put more of a spotlight on that individual or a certain part of your organization. Great questions. Yeah, thank you. Great questions. I was only going to speak for 20 minutes. They told me at 8 p.m. that I was speaking today, just so y'all know. Other than that, I have nothing. If y'all don't, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'll be up here and yeah, stop by our Darktrace booth and we'll talk. And if you want a trial, you want to get a red carpet treatment of self-learning AI and AR, autonomous response, let us know. We'd definitely love to show you this power and capability. So thank you.